Flood insurance is a type of insurance that can protect property owners financially in the event of damage or destruction caused by floods. It's important to note that standard homeowners insurance policies usually do not cover flood damage. This is where flood insurance comes in. There are two types of flood insurance policies available: those offered by the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, and those offered by private insurance companies. The NFIP is a federal program that provides flood insurance to property owners who live in areas that are at high risk for flooding. Private flood insurance policies are also available, but they can be more expensive and may have different coverage options. When purchasing flood insurance, property owners must choose a coverage limit that represents the maximum amount of money the policy will pay out in the event of a flood. The premium is the amount that must be paid each year to maintain the policy. It's important to note that flood insurance policies may have exclusions and limitations, such as damage caused by sewer backups or damage to certain types of property. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, plays a key role in promoting flood preparedness and administering the NFIP. FEMA works closely with insurance companies and other organizations to help property owners understand their flood risk and the importance of having flood insurance. They also provide resources and information to help property owners prepare for floods and other natural disasters. If a flood occurs, FEMA may provide financial assistance to property owners who do not have flood insurance. This assistance may come in the form of low-interest loans, grants, or other types of aid. However, it's important to note that this assistance may not be available to everyone, and it may not cover the full cost of repairing or replacing damaged property. In addition to administering the NFIP and providing financial assistance after disasters, FEMA also works to mitigate flood risks through programs such as floodplain management and mapping. These programs aim to identify areas that are at high risk for flooding and take steps to reduce that risk, such as by restricting development in flood-prone areas or building flood walls and other protective structures. Floodplains are typically determined by analyzing historical and current data on precipitation, river flow, and topography to identify areas that are at risk of flooding. There are several methods used to determine floodplains, including hydrological studies analyze data on precipitation, runoff, and river flow to predict flood potential in a given area. The studies take into account the watershed area, terrain, and vegetation cover to determine how water moves through the landscape. Hydraulic modeling uses computer simulations to estimate the potential depth and velocity of floodwaters in a given area. This method can be used to map floodplains and estimate the extent of flood damage. Flood insurance rate maps. Firms are produced by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and are used to determine flood risk for insurance purposes. Firms take into account factors such as rainfall, river flow, and topography to identify areas at risk of flooding. Topographical analysis involves mapping the contours of the land to identify areas that are likely to flood. This method takes into account the slope of the land, soil type, and other factors that may affect the movement of water. Local experience and knowledge. In some cases, floodplains may be determined based on local experience and knowledge of historical flooding in the area. This method can be useful in areas where data is limited or unreliable. However, it's important to note that relying solely on local knowledge may not provide an accurate assessment of flood risk. Mortgage lenders require flood insurance when homes are located in certain areas because they want to protect their investment in the property. If a home is damaged or destroyed by a flood and the homeowner doesn't have insurance, they may not be able to afford the cost of repairs or rebuilding. In this case, the lender could lose their investment if the homeowner defaults on the mortgage. In addition, the federal government requires flood insurance for properties in high-risk flood zones that have a federally backed mortgage. This is because the government wants to ensure that homeowners are protected against the financial consequences of flooding and that they can recover from the damage caused by floods. Flood insurance provides financial protection against flood damage to the home and its contents. It covers losses that are not typically covered by standard homeowners insurance policies, such as damage caused by storm surges or overflowing rivers. By requiring flood insurance, mortgage lenders can ensure that their investment in the property is protected and that the homeowner has the means to recover from flood damage. The cost of flood insurance can vary widely depending on a variety of factors, including the location and flood risk of the property, the amount of coverage needed, and the type of policy chosen. In general, the average cost of flood insurance in the United States is around $700 per year. However, this can range from a few $100s to several $1,000s per year, depending on the various factors involved. It's important to note that flood insurance is typically not included in a standard homeowner's insurance policy and must be purchased separately. Homeowners in high-risk flood zones may be required to purchase flood insurance in order to obtain a mortgage. To get an accurate estimate of the cost of flood insurance for a specific property, it's best to consult with an insurance agent. So let's review the reasons why homeowners should obtain flood insurance when they live in a floodplain. Flood insurance provides protection against the damage caused by flooding to a home and its contents. Without flood insurance, homeowners would have to pay out of pocket for any repairs or replacements needed due to flooding. Flood insurance can provide financial security and peace of mind, knowing that if a flood were to occur, you are financially protected. Flood damage can be expensive to repair, and without insurance, homeowners may struggle to pay for the damages. Floods are one of the most common natural disasters in the United States, and flood insurance can provide protection against their unpredictable nature. Even if you haven't experienced a flood in the past, it's important to be prepared for the possibility of future flooding. FEMA assistance is not enough. In the event of a flood, FEMA may provide some assistance, but this assistance is often limited and may not cover all the damages. Flood insurance can provide additional coverage and ensure that you have the financial means to fully recover from a flood. If you liked this video, be sure you give it a like and subscribe to the Barton Realty channel for more great real estate content.